there, my name's Cindy Davis. I'm the content director for AV Technology, and I'm thrilled to have Ron Berty, business development manager at Matrox Video with me to share a massive announcement that they have. So, Ron, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here, and I enjoy always talking with you, Cindy. So take it away. I'm ready.
Likewise. Well, no, you take it away. Let's get right to it.
Okay.
And from what I hear, Matrox has created a paradigm shift in the industry. So do tell, please.
Okay. So yes, we will call it that because the way we look at it is basically there's three types of AV over IP. There's uncompressed, there's lightly compressed, and there's high compression. And each one has its use. What we've looked at and what we've been a part of is the high compression side significantly. We have our convert IPs now that do uncompressed and the light compression as well. But on the high compression side, it's been mainly 420. So that's color space that has loss. It's good quality, but it's not great quality. And so, what we really want to do is provide high compression bandwidth, which is low bandwidth relative to light and uncompressed, but also provide the quality, so the same kind of quality, lossless, and have it at low latency, so comparable latency, very low latency. So that's exactly what we've done. We've built a new generation of Maevex encoders called the MGX lineup, so MGX, and that lineup supports HEVC 444 as the codec. So that's, full color space. So you end up with comparable quality to the light compression world, but it's at 1/20th the bit rate. So as an example, 4K is 800 megabits a second when you're in light compression or around there. And where we expect to be is at about 50 megabits a second. So a significant difference. And as we move forward, we'll have 4 models to choose from. So a dual encoder, a dual decoder, dual channel, and then single encoder and single 4K decoder or dual full HD decoder. So 4 models. It'll support all of that. And it'll also, of course, support IPMX. So wow. Without a doubt.
Absolutely. So those are all under the Maevex MGX moniker.
Yep.
Nice.
That will be our announcement. That's the big thing. But the key is, like you said, we really think it's a paradigm shift because now in the high compression side of things, we've got a choice. You can now get the low bandwidth, but with the high quality, so lossless, and almost zero latency. So comparable absolutely to that light compression market where most of ProAV is, residing today. So it gives them an option to, alleviate some of the network pressure they might have, IT admin pressure for managing that, significant amount of data traveling across the network and moving around when you're doing light compression and getting the same quality and latency with a much lower bit rate. And that's really what this brings to the table. And of course, the standardization of IPMX there, but also we support some of the traditional protocols as well, RTSP, MPEG-TS, and SRT as well on the product. So we're trying to cover all the bases, and bring this new paradigm shift to all of those environments, at least at a minimum for the quality and the low bit rate part. Then,
so give me, give me, I'm sorry for interrupting, but give me some before and after examples.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the, we can use our own products. So for instance, the 6100 series, well, it was capable of 444. It was one channel and it's, it's a quad encoder, but when you're using it in the 4/4 color space, it's using so many cycles to drive that quality. It just didn't make a lot of sense. So everybody's using it for 420, and it's perfectly fine for many environments. So where quality is not necessarily, or more likely, it's where bandwidth needs to be minimal. So that space is driven 420 mainly for the high compression space. And if people wanted something better, they would move to the light compression environment. So on 6100 series for Maevex and 7100 series, we enabled HEVC with 7100, but it was still 420 color space. The big difference now is that we have that quality. And then additionally, with the Matrox IQ mode, so I mentioned IPMX and the standard other streaming protocols that we would support, we'll also support another format for sending the data, and that is Matrox IQ mode. And what that does is allows you to get down to as low as 1 frame of latency with high compression 444 quality at 50 megabits a second for 4K, or maybe 20 megabits for, full HD. It really is a paradigm shift in that sense, because now, because of that low latency, almost zero latency, you can actually start supporting keyboard and mouse and webcam too. So, because you're just not going to feel that. You're not going to be able to see. Your eye can't pick up 1 frame of latency. And of course, I say that, but it is eye of the beholder. So I'll let anybody who wants to try it and tell me what they think. But it really is that good. And that's why we call it a paradigm shift. It really does make a new category.
I trust you, but it really, in command and control centers where everything is so critical, you feel that the latency is that, so that it's really going to be imperceptible.
I really do. I really do. And I think that in the control, command and control centers, control rooms, etc., those environments are going to benefit from this a lot. Not just from the low latency aspect of it, where you can, because again, that IQ mode is MGX to MGX. But outside of that, even just doing IPMX or RTSP, you're still getting that 444 quality. So that fidelity in terms of the image quality is there, comparable to what the 1 gig solutions are doing. And it's at that 1/20th of the bit rate. Oftentimes in those control rooms, in those, mission critical environments, they're not just pushing content over their local network, right? They're going outside. They're having things that are coming in over the, not just the local area network, but the wide area network, or even outside of that, over the internet. And again, one of the reasons we put SRT there, but generally speaking, a lot of those customers for us are already doing it, but at 420. And the reason they do that is because they need low bandwidth. They can't push that kind of, whatever it is, 200 megabits for full HD over that type of connection to get it to the control room over, the internet. So they use 420, but now they have the option of 444 and getting much higher quality and fidelity in terms of the image quality that they can see. So it really does create a shift in what's available and to be used, and the quality that they'll be able to see in terms of that, the visibility.
So bandwidth, obviously, it's, that's the biggest pain point for IT departments.
It really is.
Distributing the signals on the network. So talk to the IT department specifically here.
Yeah, I think that's really where it makes a huge difference. I'm not sure that people at 50 megabits a second, I would say you probably could put a stream on the open, users network, but you wouldn't. Most IT administrators don't really want to do that, because it's a different type of data, right? When you're surfing the web, it's, packets that are coming, they don't necessarily all have to follow each other. Whereas with video, it really has to be in succession, has to be perfect. So generally speaking, you build a video network, if you will, or a AV network. So those guys that are building it need to make it so that, if you've got 2 streams on the network, it's got to work. Or if you've got 100 streams, it's got to work. When you're doing 100 streams of light compression content at 800 megabits a second, I'm not saying everyone is doing that, but that's a problem. That's a challenge. It's complex, the network that you're building. You have switch fabric that has to be, the network switches have to have the switch fabric to be able to, all the ports move data and streams between them. Each cable on a 1 gig network is taking one 800 megabit stream, or maybe 4 full HD streams, 4K and full HD. So, and then you have interconnect between the switches. So now you've got to have 100 gig interconnect between, and even that may not be enough. So it's a challenge to be able to do that. When you can drop the bit rate to 1/20th and still provide the comparable quality, comparable, even latency in Matrox IQ mode, and even outside of it on IPMX, we hope to be able to get to maybe 60 milliseconds. Still very good. It really presents an entirely new option to that environment and to those IT administrators trying to manage those networks and make sure they work both now on installation initially or in the future as you expand or build out your system with time and needs that occur as we move forward. Because video just keeps getting bigger and bigger, right? Everyone's
Yeah,
using it all
absolutely.
over.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's a great way to
Critical.
communicate for sure, as we're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we're getting 444 though.
Yeah, probably not. No,
Not.
definitely not.
It's okay. So, Artie, let's discuss applications, and let's go with the control room first. I mean, Matrox videos. I mean, you're very, very well known,
Yeah.
and have a great penetration in control rooms. How do the new KVM capabilities in near zero latency performance fundamentally change how operators can work, particularly regarding the centralization of PCs in the rack room and sharing control with remote or overflow rooms?
Exactly. To me, it's a double whammy in the sense that, okay, with that keyboard, mouse, and webcam operation remotely, so the receiver being able to manage that, you can put the PC in the rack, keep it in the rack, away from the operator's desktop or wherever it might be obtrusive. So do that. You have absolutely pristine quality for the operator. Any desktop operation is going to be the high fidelity. You're going to see the 444 quality, unnoticeable latency. So absolutely perfect for the operator to do. And at the same time, that fidelity can also be shared to the screens in front. So now we can share that to the wall at 444 as well. And externally, if we're going to take things off of the wall and share it. So I kind of, control rooms, the way I call it, even with the 6100 series, has always been contribute and distribute to and from the control room. But now do it with the KVM functionality for the desktops that are there. Certainly that's one use case, but also just even without that, bringing it in and sharing it outside. Whether you need the latency or not, it's up to you. You can use it if you need it, but otherwise it could be just simply IPMX, but with that high fidelity content that's 444. And there's a lot of other things that will be coming in the future that you'll be able to take advantage of as well. We can speak to that a little bit later, but certainly in those control room environments, I really see this as a major change for the way that they'll be able to view and make decisions on content in those control rooms where people are making decisions. Do it with higher fidelity content so that you're not losing anything.
Hence paradigm shift. Yes.
It is. It really
Yeah,
is.
absolutely. So one of the things that I found interesting, actually and exciting, is Matrox has not traditionally been in the enterprise UC and collaboration spaces,
Right.
but with these products, you are. So tell me how you're going to address these spaces. Tons of pain points here, as we know. Not only network, but actually, let me just say, color accuracy and near zero latency are critical for these spaces. So, gosh, why not?
Yep, absolutely. And people have, like I've said before, I mean, they have been doing it today, but with light compression. So again, this creates bigger burdens on the network to send the video data across that network. You've got to manage that. And if you've got a few streams or a few rooms that you're sharing content between, to allow people to make informed and accurate decisions on the data that's in front of them, you've got to represent it properly. So certainly light compression does that very well, but it does it at the higher bit rate. So, again, 20 times what we're proposing with the high compression bit rate and 444 color space enabled. You'll get comparable quality and the speed at which you'll be able to do it. If you're using IQ mode, it's going to be instantaneous, but maybe you don't need that. Maybe, again, it could be 50 or 60 or 70 milliseconds with the standard IPMX mode. And you'll be able to, make decisions on high quality content that way, but at much simpler network complexity. So that complexity comes down significantly with that MGX high compression 444 standard, while your quality stays up. Now, at the same time, we also look at it and say, okay, well, wait a second. We had COVID, we went through it. One of the amazing things that came out of it were things like Teams and Zoom, Google Meet, all these collaboration applications. And it's absolutely been very, very efficient and enabled us to do so much more from homes, from wherever you want to work and get that done. At the same time, in the corporate environment, you're sharing from room to room, sharing and enabling that content to move. But the fidelity is not great. The enablement is fantastic, but fidelity is not perfect. So people have been using, again, light compression to offset the relative quality of a collaboration application share, and share it with high fidelity, but that means high bandwidth. So with MGX, we expect we can reduce that network complexity, that network congestion, if you will, of high bitrate data being passed, reduce it by, massive amounts to 1/20th that bandwidth, and allow for that to move much more easily in the corporate environment and in the collaboration spaces, so that the share in a local area network, we can share that share with perfect reproductive quality. Colors are the colors you see on the original content, as opposed to distorted colors. Lines, fine lines, fonts, people can read them, manage them, and make decisions on that content in the collaborative environment. I often use the example of a marketing team getting together. Okay, you got to move around. You got to gather people up. That's time and money too, to gather people up, move to whatever meeting room you're going to go to, because they're going to go to a meeting room to share that content and look at it. Okay, what happens if you can do the same thing in 2 different conference rooms with the same quality of content and share that? If you're sharing it over Teams, it gets a little distorted. Over Zoom, whatever it might be, a little distorted. Still amazing, but I'm looking at a logo and we're trying to decide on the colors of a logo. Well, you want to see the real colors, the real quality of that. That can be done now in a Teams environment, because the share can be one type of transmission of content, and the teams can continue to share the voice, the gallery view of the people that are there in the standard view, because that part, you don't need the quality. So with MGX, we're finding ways to implement that into the unified communication collaboration market. I think there's going to be some really good ways to advance that capability between rooms in the local area network at a much more easy way to do it across the network.
Well, when you say easy,
yeah,
it is absolutely critical. I mean, command and control spaces, not that anything should be difficult, but they could understand the technical aspects a little bit more. But you get into these control collaboration spaces, it has to be easy to use. So, is there additional complexity for the user? What's that user? Is there anything in addition that would slow down the adoption?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. In these spaces, especially unified communication collaboration, it has to be simple, right? For anyone to walk into the room and use it. So for us to make that a reality with the hardware and software that we bring to the table, of course, we have a web UI to set up the product and so on. It's very simple. We have discovery tools and all that for the administrators. But now you're talking about the users. And in the user side, we have a full API with the MGX product, like we've had with all of our products all along. All the Maevex products, generally speaking, all the products at Matrox. So with those APIs, we can build modules. Our partners can build modules as well that tie into the control systems that people are using today. It doesn't matter whose. We can easily tie into them so that we can make it as easy as a click on a screen to share the content from the MGX versus a collaboration software environment share. So we can make it that simple. It could be a push button on a simple switcher in the room, or it could be something more complex like a control room system that's controlling the lights, the heat, and everything else in the room at the same time, along with the collaboration software. So all of that has been thought of. We are building out those tools as we speak today. So all of that will come with MGX as we go forward in time, and certainly beginning to some degree even with the launch as we move forward.
Nice. So you talked about this can be used with third-party control systems that are already in place, and that's critical.
Mhm.
Interoperability is absolutely essential when buying new technologies. And so this might be the perfect time to discuss protocols and explain Matrox IQ mode in IPMX.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of spoke to it a little bit before, but yeah, I think it's a good point to highlight it at this point because, yeah, interoperability is a big thing that we've been pushing on Matrox for many years, right? We've been very big supporter of IPMX in general, and for that matter, 2110, right? It came from the 2110 world. We've been in that world on our broadcast side, and we saw the benefits there. We really saw it as being something that could be really beneficial to the ProAV environment. So certainly with MGX, we're supporting IPMX. It was an absolute core must-have for the product line as we move forward with our next generation of encoders on the high compression side. And for that matter, with our light compression solutions and our uncompressed solutions as well. So all of that going forward, we support. So relative to that, we also wanted to make sure we supported some of the things that we were doing before IPMX came to be. And that is streaming protocols like RTSP and MPEG-TS and SRT. We think those are really important pieces to get up to the cloud, to move across existing environments so we can integrate the MGX into existing environments that people may be using those streaming protocols. And then finally, you mentioned it, again, it's the Matrox IQ mode, which there is no standard yet for. So what this mode brings is that, industry leading high compression, low latency. So with that mode, Matrox IQ mode, we can get down to a single frame of latency for 4K 60, full HD, whatever solution you're trying to bring to the table. That will get down to a frame of latency, maximum 2, 3, depending on the model you're using. So we won't get into the details of that, but certainly we're down to a frame of latency, which is unheard of. It does not exist today. So it's industry leading, and where you need it, and when you're using keyboard and mouse, you're probably going to want it. You can use that, but you can simultaneously, with our products, do an additional stream of IPMX if you want to. That's fine. There are limitations depending on the model you're using, but sure enough, you can. On the encoders, we can encode 2 full 4K streams, 4K 60 streams on the E2 encoder, which is a dual channel encoder. And on the single channel, we can encode a single 4K or dual full HDs. So we could do one IPMX and one RTSP or IQ mode. So we're capable of doing quite a bit with the 4 different products that we bring to market initially. And it really does enable both that interoperability mode with both clearly IPMX and then the traditional streaming methods. But then again, with IQ mode, we give you that extra special latency mode that enables one frame, as low as 1 frame of latency.
Do these 4 models replace any of your existing models?
They don't replace, they complement them, actually, in fact, because again, that's why we wanted to keep those what we would call traditional streaming methodology. So they're interoperable with the Maevex 6100 series line and the 7100 series line, both on AVC and HEVC. So MGX supports HEVC 444, but it also supports HEVC 420 and AVC 420. So interoperable with 6100 and 7100, and 6100 and 7100 have their own feature sets that we will continue to support. There is no end of those product lines in sight at all. They still sell very well for us. We expect them to continue to sell well, and the MGX lineup really complements them and adds this key feature of the low latency, 444 high quality, and in the end, low bit rate, very low, 1/20th the bit rate of those light compression solutions. So, nice. Yeah, they're all remain and they all work together. It really is a solution for whatever anyone needs to apply.
So you've certainly let us know what the kind of the big highlights are
Yeah.
of the MGX. But what about price? It sounds like it would be really expensive.
Yeah, well, yeah, I appreciate that. That means there's some value there that you're seeing at a minimum. So, yeah, I think people would think that. And certainly that's what it was on our previous lineups. To do, like I said, on the 6100 to do 444, we could get one channel of 4K out. That was a pretty expensive solution. So, and that's what exists on the market today for the 444 HEVC side of things. But these are definitely comparable to today's light compression solutions. Our pricing is going to be competitive to the light compression side. And certainly when you're at a single channel, it'll be pretty much on par. We expect to be a little less expensive than the light compression solutions there. But when we're doing dual, because we have dual encoder and dual decoder, when you combine those two, we expect to be significantly less than what is being used in the light compression environment today, because you need 4 of those. They're typically single channel solutions. And in order to do the dual channel, you need 2 encoders on the front side and 2 decoders on the back side. So you're going to be spending quite a bit more for that solution relative to the MGX solution. So they're absolutely very competitive at a price point to the existing solutions today in the light compression world today. And let's face it, even in the high compression world of MGX today.
Nice.
Sorry,
Nice.
high compression of the H.264 and H.265 environments today.
Great. Cool. So Infocom, I can't believe, is right around the corner. And you say seeing is believing. So I'm hoping attendees are going to be able to see this in action for themselves at Infocom. Yes?
Absolutely, for sure. We will have a setup at Infocom both for the control room environment. So MGX will be integrated into a full control room environment at the show, along with our display wall products, along with some of the other KVM products we have there. So that will be fully shown at the show on the control room environment, but we'll also be demonstrating how it can be used in the unified communication and collaboration market as well. So we are going to show some of the highlights of what you can use MGX for high fidelity content in those collaboration environments where, yeah, maybe you don't use it in all spaces, of course, but in some spaces where it matters, where it's, decisions are being made, you can actually use this content and see the quality of the show difference. And we'll make it really obvious for you to see it. We're going to compare to, other devices or other solutions out there and make sure you see some value to it. And we'll be showing that at the show as well.
Nice. So at Infocom, go to the Matrox video booth if you're looking to experience a paradigm shift. Yes?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Ron, this has been great. Great chatting with you. Thanks for all the details and can't wait to see you at Infocom.
Me too. It's fantastic as always, Cindy. So thank you very much.